I've received a couple of requests from you ladies asking me to do videos that are more targeted towards the guys that you're dating, single dads or stepdads, your partners who you're married to, and you're raising these kids together. So this next couple of videos, I'm going to be sharing with the dads tips on how they can make their blended families more successful, how they can set up their wives to be successful stepmothers, and how to basically have a more harmonious step family life. So join me in this video. We'll start from the groundwork, expectations, because guys also have some unrealistic expectations which don't necessarily match the reality, and if you don't take this into consideration, then you set yourself up for failure. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Wendy Malinda and I'm a certified step family coach with Living in Step Africa. Today's video is all about the guys and some of the unrealistic expectations that they have on the women that they date or that they're married to when it comes to their children. So right off the bat, it starts with the expectations. What expectations do you have of your wife or future partner when it comes to the kind of family that you will bring up and when it comes to the sort of relationship that she will have with your children? So one of the expectations that single dads have of their new wives is that she's going to love them as much as she loves her own children. Now, being a mother myself, I realize now that the kind of love that I have for my son is very different from the kind of love that I have for my stepchildren. Not to take away from, any relationship or any love that there is between me and my stepchildren. It's just different. So expecting your wife or your partner to love your kids the same way she would love hers is unfair to her. So what you should strive for is, at the beginning, strive for respect. Make sure that she understands that she needs to respect your children, and make sure that your children also understand that they need to respect her. Love is something that takes time to grow. They're not going to meet each other and, love at first sight kind of thing. No way, it's not going to happen. It's something that will take time. They will have to spend a lot of time together, get to know each other, what makes, someone angry, what makes them happy, what do they like, just everyday stuff that every relationship needs to go through. And that takes a lot of time. So in as much as there's going to be love, understand that it's going to be a different kind of love. Now, what should you be looking out for then? Look out for, is she treating your kids fairly? Is she being fair to all the children? There shouldn't be any favoritism, so to speak, when it comes to dealing with the children. And the same thing goes to you. There shouldn't be any favoritism or any difference between the way you treat your own kids and the way you treat your partner's kids if she's coming in with kids from a previous relationship. If you're a single dad and you're thinking, my new wife and I are going to be fully in charge of our new home, then you're wrong. This is not the case because there are so many outside influences that are going to have a say or that you will need to consider when making certain decisions, especially decisions that touch on the kids. Some of these outsiders are your ex, the person who you had these kids with in the first place. She has a say in the decisions that have to be made around your children. If you are married, her family or your in-laws, so to speak, they still have a say in some of the things that the kids do. They will still have that relationship going. It's not like you guys divorced and now the kids are no longer going to see their grandparents, they're no longer going to see their aunts, no hookups with cousins. That's just unrealistic. And so it's good for you to be aware of the fact that there's going to be a different dynamic simply because the decisions are not necessarily going to be final between you and your wife. Some you will have to consult and come to an agreement with the relevant third parties in your situation. Another misconception that is very common with both men and women who are getting into blended families is that simply because we love each other, then it's going to work. It's going to be easy. That is not the case. Step families are born out of loss. And this is something that you should always bear in mind, that a loss happened and that is why you're in the position that you are in today. Now, that loss could be a divorce, it could be death, it could be a separation, and everyone is trying to deal with that loss in their own way and in their own time. Now, whereas you might be over that loss, you've gotten over your ex, you're ready to move on, you found a new partner, so let's get married, let's do this. Your kids are always going to be a couple of steps behind because they have a natural inclination and a natural tendency to just want their mom and dad together. So it takes them some time before they adjust to this new family setting. So it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of friction sometimes because kids don't know how to voice their feelings. They may act out without necessarily knowing why they're acting out or the reasons behind the actual true feelings behind what they're portraying as the physical displays of whatever it is. So make sure that you understand that your kids are always a couple of steps behind you, and it is your duty as parents to hold their hand, to guide them through this entire process. They rely solely on the decisions that you make and your judgment to ensure that this new family stays a unit and is your role in a harmonious space. Another misconception is that your kids will get along. Now, this is for the situation where you're a single dad, you've hooked up with a single mom. So there's two sets of children who are coming into this blended family. Now, it takes a while for these kids to get along. Step siblings, the love doesn't come instantaneously. They have to work on their own dynamics. And then the other thing is that depending on the ages of the kids, it might bring some new sources of conflict within the family. So say, for example, if I am the single mom and I came in with my 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I'm coming into your family, or we're joining our families, and you have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old. My 8-year-old, who was the firstborn in my family, is now a secondborn. That's just a whole new dynamic because, the order in which kids are born sort of defines their personality in one way or another. And so having to now contend with being a middle child, a secondborn, it's going to be difficult for them. Again, depending on how, as single parents, you raised your kids, things such as sharing, the rooms, all these things, chores, all these things come into play and might be a source of conflict between your kids. It has nothing to do with you as parents, but it's between the kids who are fighting among themselves. So again, kids always rely on your judgment as the adults in the relationship to guide them into how this new family is going to work. Now, unless you put your foot down and set some ground rules that apply to all the kids, then you'll have some chaos that you'll have to deal with in the home. So just understand that simply because you two are in love and you get along, your kids will not necessarily get along, and not necessarily at the first time when they meet. It's something that will grow, and you need to be patient enough to let them find their own way without you forcing a love or a relationship between them. Another assumption that guys make is that their kids are going to get along with their new partner very well. In actual fact, this is not always the case, and it takes time for that relationship to grow and to flourish. So be aware of the fact that it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and other factors come into play, like the age of the kids. Of course, the younger they are, then the easier they are to adapt to new people. If you have teenagers, then that's a whole it's a different ball game altogether, because they actually know that, you know, something happened. This is not their mother. They're aware of certain things within the family. And simply because of, you know, the whole teenage, adolescent, hormones all over the place, makes it a bit more difficult. Adult children are even harder to adjust to blended family life. So depending on where your kids are in age, you know, how the separation or the divorce went, how they're getting accustomed to the loss of a parent, then this is something that will come into play, and it's something that is going to have a direct effect on how easy it is for the kids to form that relationship with your new partner. Something else that guys might not necessarily be aware of is the expectation that all the kids will love your new partner at the same time. This is not always the case. So if you have more than one child, it's not a given that all your kids are going to love your partner at the same time. I'll give you my example. My stepdaughter took on to me much faster than my stepson. My stepson took a lot of time to get accustomed to me being in the family. I was never sure of the kind of relationship that I had with him. And for a long time, it's something that just bugged me, but you have to wait it out. So in the same way, not all the kids are going to love you instantaneously. There might be that difference that some kids take on to your partner easily and others take their time. So you're going to treat each child depending on the pace that they have with their partner. So with that comes the end of our video. I hope that you enjoyed the tips. Do share them with your partner. Which ones resonate with him, or which ones do you think have played a pivotal role in your relationship, whether it was for the good or for the bad? I would really love to hear from you. So make sure you leave your comments down below, subscribe to the channel, and like us on our Facebook page, that's Living in Step Africa, and on Twitter we are at Smartly Blended. And I hope to see you in the next video, where we'll be tackling more issues that the guys in blended families face.